everyone! A few months ago somebody suggested that they'd like to see a process video of how I sketch my recipes in my sketchbook, and I thought that might be a good idea, and I thought others might be interested in it also. I've always loved sketching and just painting desserts and recipes. I find that it can be a great warm-up, and also it's just very relaxing, and you can often discover new techniques and different ways that your pigments flow, and it's just a great idea to use in a sketchbook. And like I said, it's just really fun and it's very freeing. I hadn't done one of these in a long time, and I was looking through old pictures and I saw a picture of a lemon blueberry cake that we'd made this summer after we'd gone picking blueberries, and I thought that it would make a great art journal sketchbook recipe. I really never have any clear plan when I'm making one of these. I have a light idea of the placement and where I want things to go. So for example, I knew on this one I wanted a small sketch of the entire cake, and then I wanted a sketch of the slice of the picture that I'd taken. The proportions were really quite off on the large cake sketch that I'd done, and I really wish I hadn't used so much water on the first portion of the cake. I wanted it to look like fluffy icing, and I'm not sure I achieved it, but I did end up liking the overall look. I wanted to keep everything very loose and fresh because that's what the cake was like after we made it. It was very delicious. I'll put the name of where I got the recipe from in the description box. I was supposed to add in this indigo after everything had dried, but as usual, I never learned my lesson and I included it almost immediately. I decided to only use one colour for the lemon slices because I didn't want to muddy it, and like I said, I wanted to keep all the colours fresh, and I didn't quite achieve that in the first cake area. It got a little bit grey, but my motto is I'll fix that later, and I tried to anyway. I felt a bit more comfortable with the cake slice area. I knew how to achieve like a cakey look. You first pre-wet the area in different places, and then you just drag pigment across, leaving craggy areas. I actually was really excited to add the blueberry colour into this portion because I knew it'd just look really cool. So for the blueberry colour, I used indigo and purple Winsor violet. And then I noticed after blueberries have been cooked, they kind of have a more pinkish colour, so I used a bit of magenta within the cake area. I realised there I'd already messed that section up, so I thought I would take care of it later. I had in mind that I would be including text and a title for it, which is why there's yellow and purple at the top there. I want the writing to go over it. And I really like the idea of splashes on the page, almost kind of like recipe pages, you know, when sometimes they can get splatter everywhere when you're baking and cooking. I like the idea that it's a recipe page, but with watercolor. I tried to go over the areas with gouache, and again, not learning my lesson, I didn't let it dry. I did really like how it looked with the dots of white, you know, the highlights on the blueberries. I thought it looked quite cute and had a bit of a look of powdered sugar. When it was time to go in with the pen, I initially thought I wanted quite thin ink lines, and I quickly decided that wasn't the look I wanted, and I wanted some thicker lines and more variations, so I switched to my brush pen, which decided to start running out on me. After going over these lemons with the pen, I really didn't like it. I think I should have just hinted at some lines. So later on I went over it a little bit with some yellow. I do really like the texture in the cake. I know it might be a bit messy for some. So when copying out the recipe, I usually copy out the ingredients portion almost word for word, but when it comes to the instructions, because I don't want to be sat there the whole while writing out the lengthy instructions, I tend to just abbreviate quite a lot of it. Again, I want the feel that it's a written out recipe, you know, handed down. I like the look of that. I have to give a little shout out to my Target pumpkin. Tried to get that in the shot, but it actually just got in the way, but I refused to move it. I like to add a flourishy first letter for each portion of a recipe. So for example, here it was assemble the frosting. No, no. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like I said, I hadn't done one of these in a long time, and it was just really therapeutic and peaceful. And I was remembering the fun that we had when we went to pick the blueberries and then later on made the cake. It was a lot of fun, and it was actually very delicious and pretty. It was so juicy to look at. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe.